Rufai, just calm down. I don't have to prove anything to you. Your position on this matter is known. And what I want to say to you people is that it is important. Yes, it's true. It's true. I don't have to prove anything to you.
Answer question now.
What I want to say to you people is that,
you have a right to answer the question. I'm just saying prove to me. Senator, you see, we are making arguments here.
I don't have to prove
logical arguments.
Why do I have to prove
so please
anything
prove to me, Senator, that there was so much insecurity.
Or
defend your statement that there was so much insecurity. You said it before. Defend it.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Listen. I don't have to prove anything to you. The position you people have taken is known to the entire country.
But all national crisis in Rivers State, and the Supreme Court, which is the statutory arm of government, constitutionally responsible to look into the issues were submitted before them. And they looked into the issues and condemned it and said parties should go back and rectify. And parties actually went back to rectify. So now that parties had rectified, was there still an imminent danger? The answer is no. And then the idea of, oh, look, the people, there was a palpable tension in the state and all of that. If you look at the provisions of Section 188, subsection 1 to 9, it spells out the provisions, how an impeachment of a governor can be carried out. And then the Supreme Court has reiterated also, in the case of Peter Obi and the Anambra State House of Assembly and Ladoja's case, that you cannot invoke subsection 10 except you comply with subsection 1 to 9. So a situation where the House of Assembly is threatening to impeach a governor, and then the House of Assembly runs into a logjam. Do you now need to help the House of Assembly by declaring a state of emergency and say the parties are quarreling? These people are now, because it is not about insecurity. That is why the National Assembly is saying they want to set up a committee to reconcile. Are you reconciling insecurity? So we all know where this is coming from. This is clearly political. And so that's why also the senator is saying that it will give both parties. Are we also saying that in Nigeria today, so once you have a quarrel between, or misunderstanding between the House of Assembly and the executive arm of government, and then we should declare a state of emergency, for 4 years, a governor refused to swear in members of the...
Didn't Wike himself have 6 lawmakers at the point?
I don't even want to go there now. In Edo, the governor refused to swear in about 11 or 14 lawmakers. Yeah. The matter was submitted to the court, even though the court spent 4 years and it moved between 9 judges and it was never heard. A state of emergency was not declared in Edo. In fact, the roof of, while I'm not encouraging removal or destruction of a state house of assembly like Fubara did, which is condemnable, but a state of emergency was not declared. In the Northeast, as I speak, people are using ransom to do TikTok. That is clear danger and threat to our national security and peace. Farmers cannot go to farm. These places, there is no state of emergency in these places. You have 2 arm of government, 2 independent arm of government that are supposed to checkmate each other, are quarreling, and they have refused to sit down and resolve their issues. The court had helped them to resolve, and we are saying that is a ground for declaring a state of emergency. And so does that mean now that you have a crisis in Osun State, where the former local government and present local government chairman are at loggerhead, so the president would...
Some people have started saying they should declare state of emergency.
In Benue State, as we speak now, the governor and the chief judge of the state are at loggerhead. And so, are we saying that the president should declare state of emergency?
Real quickly.
So how many areas are we going to declare state of emergency? Quickly, Rufai, please. On the issue of allocation, the Supreme Court ruled before now. The federal government approached the Supreme Court under Section 7 of the Constitution, requesting that the Supreme Court should make a pronouncement that under no guise can a state governor suspend a democratically elected local government chairman. And the Supreme Court so agreed with the APC and the federal government. That same federal government today is saying that they have powers to suspend a democratically elected governor and state house of assembly because the two cannot agree on what should happen in Section 188. And now, the same court, the same highest court in the land said, don't release allocation to a government that is not democratically elected. And now you appointed a sole administrator, you are going to flout the constitution and release allocation. And so that means it is not about fighting insecurity. It's about taking Rivers State through the back door, and not about insecurity. Because if it's about insecurity, you take charge of the areas and find solution to the security challenges in those areas, and not take over the entire state.
Okay, real quickly. Couple of things. I want clarification for public education. I made mention of the fact that Minister Wike at some point when he was governor had 6 lawmakers. Can you throw more light as regards what happened around that time? Another question is, I think in the conversation here, somebody was saying that the Senate should remember that they're also, sort of like, a part of the government and everything. So I'm asking, Dr. Abati, based on the spirit of the law by Baron de Montesquieu, where is separation of powers here? Are we, or like Barry Montesquieu said, are we now practicing separation of power or fusion of powers? Because Barry Montesquieu talked about those two concepts in the spirit of laws that I read, separation of powers or fusion of powers. I want you to answer that. And for Mr. Magnus Abbey, Senator Magnus Abbey, the question I have for you is this. Please, can you show us with evidential proof the insecurity that is happening in Rivers State? Hope you know that the transnational pipeline that was blown up has started working again a day after. I hope you know the 2 other incidents of bombings around that area. NNPC has discarded some of them that say it was just a flare. So please, can you plot us the state of insecurity, the fighting and the killings that were happening on the road, in Rivers, in Port Harcourt, that warranted? And also, the argument on those that support the government is always that things were not fixed. But this was the same Fubara that wrote to the House and said, let's represent the budget. But the House rebuffed him and said they were going to go it alone by pushing for his impeachment. So show me the fairness in all this conversation. But let Mr. Liboros answer first, because you are always taking the front spot. So please, can you answer, put those clarity as regards the things I talked about?
Briefly. Yeah, managing time. Please, thank you. You see, that's anytime there is such a constitutional crisis, whether by 2 lawmakers, 3 lawmakers, 6 lawmakers, it is for the court to deal with. Because at every given time, there are situations where you have, even off-cycle election, there are situations where a governor comes in and you have members in the State House of Assembly who are not members of his party. What he does is to woo them back to his party. In Wike's time, election was conducted for just, in some areas in Rivers State, election was not conducted, because they couldn't conduct election because of insecurity in those areas. And I remember the INEC attempted to conduct those elections on 2 different locations, and it was not successful. But did they declare a state of emergency in Rivers?
Was there any point that Wike had 6 lawmakers?
Because the election was not conducted.
So he had 6 lawmakers?
Yes, it was. I can't remember the numbers now, but because elections were not conducted in those constituencies, lawmakers could not be sworn in with the rest. And there was no state of emergency in that state until INEC dealt with it. Even as I speak now in Edo State, you have a governor who is a governor of the APC, and the speaker is in PDP. They are working harmoniously. And it's about give and take. If the parties could not sit down, and the Supreme Court had helped them to resolve the issue, do you now need to say, I believe, and I can clearly say this, that this pipeline issue was contrived. It was contrived to create this scenario and then declare a state of emergency and say, oh, let the people go and settle. Is that what the Constitution required?
Please talk to us about the separation of power or fusion of power. Because I think somebody was saying about it.
Seriously, what we have here is a fusion of power. Like, and that is why somebody said that once this matter gets to the National Assembly, the current National Assembly will find any excuse to adopt and support Mr. President. So what were these security issues? This is security, the issues, the information could have been taken at the executive session, and then the voting can be done publicly. But when this information was not taken at the, because from what we heard from some senators also, there was no information that was taken at the executive session. And this idea of kowtowing to the whims and caprices of the executive, and I am also, ashamed, because I know that's what they all do, which is what led to this fight. A governor would want the State House of Assembly to be an extension of the executive, and that is what we have taken to the national level. Before now, we used to have a vibrant House of Representatives, but unfortunately today, we don't no longer expect anything from the House of Rep, don't talk of Senate.
Okay. We need to go to Senator Magnus. Please, empirically prove for us the insecurity in the states. And also confirm for us, didn't the governor make attempts to represent the budget and write to the lawmakers, but they rebuffed him? Was that a level of fairness? But prove to us the insecurity, the fighting in Rivers State that was constant, the shooting on the streets that led to this state of emergency.
Erufai.
Yes, sir.
Erufai, just calm down. I don't have to prove anything to you. Your position on this matter is known. And what I want to say to you people is that it is important. Yes, it's true. It's true. I don't have to prove anything to you.
Answer the question now.
What I want to say to you people is that,
you have a right to answer the question. I'm just saying prove to me. Senator, you see, we are making arguments here.
I don't have
copious
to prove
logical
anything to you. Why do I have to prove
so please
anything
prove
to
to
you?
me, Senator,
You are not
that there was
making
so much insecurity.
Or defend it.
Defend your statement that there was so much insecurity. You said it before. Defend it.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Listen. I don't have to prove anything to you. The position you people have taken is known to the entire country. But all I want to say to you is that for the sake of the people of Rivers State, is it important that we have a balance? There are 2 sides to every coin. And it is important that both sides are represented in issues. You come here, we have an elected president. The president has information that you and I do not have. And he has told you the reasons why the state of emergency was declared is clearly set out in the speech of the president to the entire nation on that issue. You have a different opinion, but you don't have that power to overturn what the president has said. The president has presented what led him to that decision to the national. I'm coming, sir. Just allow me to talk.
Yes.
The president has presented what led him to that decision to the National Assembly, which is the body that our constitution, elected by the Nigerian people, has set up to review what the president has done. And they were unanimous in their decision to stand by what the president did. You have a right not to agree with it, but it is not proper for us to come here and begin to present a scenario, make speculations, and say things that obviously have no foundation whatsoever in reality. For the sake of the people of Rivers State, I want to appeal to all of us as Nigerians. Let us give peace a chance. And it is important that we remember that there are two sides to every coin. You don't take everything. I'm sorry, sir, just a minute. I don't want to argue. Let me just say my own bit, please. You remember that there are two sides to every issue. Opposition members, those who are opposed to the president, have gathered to sell a narrative because they think that they can profit politically from the crisis in Rivers State. Let me sit here and say clearly that they cannot. What is important to Rivers people at this time is that we should allow common sense and wise counsel to prevail. I have been looking at what is happening in the state. We saw the conduct of the governor that led up to this crisis. The governor is the chief executive. He is the head of the government of the state, and it was his responsibility to manage both the political, economic, social, and whatever challenges he faces in the course of his governance. He chose the path that he chose because he was listening to people that he should not have listened to. Some of the people he listened to, let me take the case of a fellow governor who is one of his strongest supporters. He had the same issue in his state. In his state, when he had the issue, did he come out openly to confront his predecessor who had helped him into power? He did not. While the predecessor was fighting him, he gave him his ticket back to the Senate, but blocked his boys who were all in the SDP. They didn't have a total showdown the way he now was supporting in Rivers State. And at the end of the day, when the price comes, it is the man who is sitting in the seat that will stand alone. We saw it in the House of Reps. All those people that were shouting for Fubara to continue to do this, and coming on a rise, they were in the House of Reps. They had the chance. Okay, you say it was a voice vote. At least you could have opened your mouth to say nay. Did they do it? Okay. So let us be practical. This is a political situation that was going to result in a total breakdown of law and order. And the president, as the president of this country, acted in the interest of the Nigerian state. Nobody should sit down and begin to accuse the president in this kind of matter. He has acted in a partisan manner. But what the president said, was it different from what the Supreme Court said? So let us be practical and be balanced. That's all I will appeal to you to do.
Right, we're after the Constitution, and with due respect,
yes, sir, go ahead, sir.
Okay, Rufai,
Rufai, please.
I just say proof to me.
Rufai, please, leave him alone. Senator Abe, I understand your passion. I mean, you are a major stakeholder in Rivers.
No, it's not a passion. I'm just worried because this affects my state and it affects my people.
Okay, you are a major stakeholder.
So we should be balanced.
You are a major stakeholder.
Yes.
We know that there was clear and present danger.
We need wise counsel. That's what we need.
We know there was clear and present danger in Rivers State.
The president gave his reasons. He's the chief security officer of this country. And he knows what is happening in Rivers State more than the anchors in Arise.
I understand all of that.
So give him that credit.
I understand.
You don't sit down and accuse the president he's being partisan, he's doing right.
Senator.
No,
just hold on. The senator has powers. The president has powers under Section 305. The bone of contention is that he does not have the right to collapse democratic structures. Nobody has ever said that the president cannot intervene. That's why Section 305 uses the word shall, because he has a responsibility to protect the country. But I asked you a question. Wait, before I let you go. I said, when are you going to visit the sole administrator? Because some people have been going to him. I want to know.
If I have the opportunity to visit the sole administrator, I will visit him. But what I want to say is that every emergency is not the same. So what steps may be necessary in one emergency may be different from the kind of steps that are required in another kind of emergency. So there's no law that says that if Jonathan took this kind of decision in one kind of emergency, every president must follow what one president did. Every emergency is different. The important thing is that the steps that the president will restore normalcy and bring order back to that part of the federation. And that is what the president is trying to do. And it should be supported by all Nigerians so that that emergency is resolved in the national interest. That's what I would say.
Senator Abe, thank you very much. Leboro Sushoman, thank you very much. What else do you want to say? We want to close this program.
Thank you for protecting me from
public domain. The president's speech in the public is in the public domain. And because the senator talked about what do you call it, particulars that are not, you know, made public, that would be made public to the National Assembly. And then he also referred to these same particulars contained in the president's speech. There are no particulars that are not already in the public domain. And then
now, it is obvious that this is not about security challenge in Rivers State. This is just political. This is just political to take over Rivers State, because this is not about constitution. Constitution says this, constitution say that, constitution say this, constitution say that. No. Federal government, Tinubu, violate all the sections of that constitution and went ahead to declare a state of emergency, and even went further to suspend the state governor, democratically elected governor, and his deputy, and went further again the allocation that were seized by the Supreme Court, federal government. Now immediately they sworn in the sole administrator. The allocation has been released to the person who they said they were not going to release allocation to the governor because of the issues that they are not, because of that you're not going to release that. But this one now, there is no reason they should release the allocation, because the same constitution, the same reasons why they not release the allocation to the state governor there is the same reason. Now the court has not decided why do they have to release the allocation. So it is clear it's not about the security, insecurity in the state or threat of life, all those things. No, it's just about power grab. Tinubu just use opportunity to take power in Rivers State. Now, what am I trying to say? This is not about constitution again. Everybody have explained the constitution and condemned this act from Tinubu illegality. That it is illegal, it is not constitutional, it is unlawful to do this. Now the senator, some of them, they said, okay, it was all right. By voice voting, they supported Tinubu. Now this senator saying something that every emergencies need different actions. So in every emergency, if you are solving solution, especially state that has to do with constitution resolving issues, every president that comes in, are they using their initiative, their ideas to solving the problem? The problem should be solved based on constitutions. All the constitutions are there for you to follow, not for anybody to come when it is your turn. You interpret that constitution the way you want it, or violate the constitutions and do whatever comes to your mind, because nobody to challenge you. Why do we have the constitution at force? Is it not to guide and protect us in things like this, state matter and federal issues? So when you say every emergency determines actions from the federal government because he has the power, and the power does not even allow him to suspend the sitting governor. So it is obvious now. So now it's not about constitution. Everybody, they should just stop talking about this issue. Constitution says the federal government does not have this. He knows he does not have the power, but he overlooked everybody in this country to say there's nothing they can do, because his federal government, Tinubu himself, is a commander-in-chief, is a senate, all the three arms of government, executive, legislator. Tinubu is the one controlling all of them. So if anybody have anything to do to challenge Tinubu, it is not about constitution. Constitution is not working under Tinubu and is not going to work under Tinubu. If anybody have anything to do in challenging Tinubu from this unconstitutional behavior, action, simple, action should begin, not by constitution. They have explained. Even there's nothing you can say again. NBA condemned this act from Tinubu. This is unconstitutional. NBA. So what else do you want? What else anybody want to explain again? Tinubu violate all the sections of the constitution. So it is not about constitution. It is action. Tinubu took action. He took action. So anybody to challenge him needs to take action. Simple as that. Take action to fight Tinubu, to reinstate Sim Fumbara if anybody have the power. Otherwise, leave this talk on social media. It's not helping. They have been talking. Tinubu not they talk too much. They take action. Now the target is another state, another PDP state. That is the target. Anambra state, right? We are watching. Anyways, please share this video. So anybody to challenge Tinubu, you need to take action. You need to take action. For me, I believe people should even be planning on, cool, military should take over this country. I said it, that is it. Because Tinubu does not obey any constitution. So all the opposition parties, you people should go and plan. If you get the power, the strength, plan, let military take over Tinubu, because he has already committed that impeachable offense. Simple as that. Please share this video.